Good morning, y'all. It's Joe. It's Valentine's Day. It's time for another episode of Stories from the Patrol Car. Um, Welcome to Oklahoma, where normally it would be 50 degrees, give or take. Today it is 6. Yeah, for those in Canada and all the other places that don't use a F for climatological data, it's negative 14. So, hooray! The guys at Coastal Auto Reaction understand that they're used to the same temperatures that we would normally see, and they're dealing with the same cold crap that we are. For Peg at Zip Ties and Bias Plies, I feel your pain. I understand why you are as greasy as you are. This is some stupid cold. I don't know how you go ahead and make it through the winter. It's been less than a week, and I already hate this stuff. The Siberia starter kit can go the hell back. I don't want it. I don't need it. I'll pay return shipping. Okay, so as I said, Tales from the Patrol Car is something for car people. Okay, this is car people, vehicle people. We tend to relate events in our lives to the vehicles that were around us at the time. And today we're going to go back to Valentine's Day of 1989, my last day in the Philippines. We have been in the Philippines for 2.5 months. We arrived there just after Thanksgiving, and Valentine's Day, February 14th, was our last day there, or my last day there with VMA 242. During that time, we used the modes of transportation that were available to us, mostly the Nissan Maxima diesels that were the taxi cabs that ran between the main gate and Sky Village, which was the Quonset huts that we lived out of while we were deployed there. We also used the Jeepneys out in town and the trikes. Trikes not so much. It's you've probably seen them before, pretty common around Vietnam and whatnot. Motorcycle with something of an enclosed sidecar on it. Very tropical. We spent New Year's Eve, Christmas and New Year's Eve there, and that's kind of where I'm going with this one. Would be New Year's Eve 1988. Well, just prior to that, we had gone ahead and taken a Jeepney out to Angeles City from Olongapo. And that particular night, a good buddy of mine, Hugga, decided that he was going to Jeepney surf. And as this Jeepney is racing through the Philippine jungle between cities, he's on top of this thing surfing. Guy's a wild man. Absolute wild man. And yes, there were adult beverages involved, as in most cases. New Year's Eve, we are starting out where we normally started out, at the Mariposa Bar in the Philippines. Mariposa, you could see in the very first few minutes of An Officer and a Gentleman. It's an open air bar right off the sidewalk. We would pre-flight there every night before we went ahead and head out to our separate ways around town. And so while we're sitting there having our beverages, mostly San Miguel or Red Horse, we're having a few, and the place is packed. It's New Year's Eve. The Navy had ships in port. We were in port. It was just a wild time. Kind of picture a weekend night in New Orleans combined with the bustle of New Year's Eve in New York City. It was just wild. Streets are packed, sailors in their whites up and down Masai Boulevard, us in our civvies, and we're sitting there having a fine time. Vendors up and down the streets, selling everything. And I do mean everything. It was nuts. We were getting these little paper triangles, kind of like the footballs you made in school, except there's a fuse sticking out of them. And we're getting these things at highly explosive. I mean, insanely explosive. We took one and stuck it in the crack of a cinder block wall, and it blew a hole like that in the wall. Just absolutely nuts. And so, we're Marines, we're playing with fireworks and beverages. And there's a sailor next to us, and there's this probably 12-year-old kid walking up and down the boulevard in front of the bar with what looks like a 4-foot-long rope of sticks of dynamite. No exaggeration. Stuff is crazy. And so the sailor goes ahead and buys this rope of dynamite, and he's wishy-washy about setting it off. His buddies try to goad him into it. No, man, go light it, go. No, I don't want to do that. No, I don't. I'll light it. And so I get the rope from him, and I go out in the crowd in the middle of Messiah Boulevard, and I light this thing, and I walk back to our table, and we're sitting there in the bar waiting, and it starts going off. And, string of fireworks or firecrackers, when you light it off, they go everywhere on a much bigger scale. People are flipping over tables and diving for cover. It's throwing sticks of dynamite everywhere. Traffic comes to a complete standstill. I mean, there's just this big void of anything but pieces of dynamite flying everywhere. And, oh, wow, this is probably bad. We probably need to go away. And so we disappeared from the bar for a while. We went elsewhere before the National Police showed up because, I don't want to get into trouble in the Philippines and end up in Philippine jail. And so we leave the area. But while we had been consuming beverages and enjoying our night, the thought of a jeepney drag race came to mind. We'd already gone ahead and done what we could do with the Philippine taxi drivers. We knew what it typically took for a cab ride from the main gate to Sky Village. And so we figured, okay, well, hey, you know what? You know what your rate is. We know what your rate is. If you can go ahead and beat your time there, we'll pay you the difference. And so, we were goading the taxi drivers, and the taxi drivers were game. I mean, these guys would drive these mountain roads through the jungle, just crazy to get back to the base and get that tip. Well, the Filipino jeepney drag race was on a bigger scale. At the time, the exchange rate was about 21 to 1, so $5 American was 100 pesos. 100 pesos was a good chunk of change. And we got 2 jeepneys lined up at Mariposa, and we told the driver, 100 pesos, first one to the main gate. And we loaded up, and the drag race is on. Probably the worst conceived plan ever. Had we done something like this today, rather than 1989, they would have probably opened fire because it would look like a terrorist attack. I mean, 2 jeepneys, shag and butt, wide open, headed for the main gate. Little Isuzu 4-cylinder diesel, just tick, 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 down the block. And they're headed, and we're just like, keep going, keep going. And so we go ahead, we get to the main gate, and the main gate, the exterior main gate was guarded by Filipino troops, and the interior main gate was guarded by U.S. military troops. But either way, it really had potential to look bad. And so, thankfully, nobody drew weapons on us, nobody opened fire on us, and the winning jeepney driver was happy to get his 100 pesos. And we were happy to go ahead and have fun, and nobody got hurt. But that was the kind of insanity that was going on there. I mean, it was really, really a magical place. The saying was it was an adult Disneyland. Yeah, it really was. What happens in the PI stays in the PI. That was the rule long before Vegas came along with their reusing of the same concept. But that was New Year's Eve, 1988-89, and like I said, my last trip to the Philippines was ended on the 14th of February. That's when the squadron went ahead and went back to Iwakuni, Japan. After 2.5 months in the PI, we were done painting our planes. And shortly thereafter, I think it was April 15th, as I recall, we finally went ahead and made it back stateside. But it was really something to remember. The great Jeepny drag race. Some of my buddies that were there that night, we still laugh and chuckle about that one. So anyway, that's today's tale from the patrol car.
70, 169, just for information, I have a possible water main break at Monroe and 7th. Water department has been notified.
That's today's tale from the patrol car, or stories from the patrol car. I'm going to go ahead and keep doing this. If y'all like it, let me know. If y'all want to comment, feel free. You're not going to hurt my feelings. If you don't like it, hey, you don't have to watch. I mean, it's free. It's not costing you anything. I don't make anything out of this. I just do this for the fun. So anyway, like I said, it's negative 14 degrees Celsius here, so about 6, give or take, on the Fahrenheit side of things. We should be 50 degrees, and we're not. This garbage is supposed to stay with us for about 2 weeks, and I'm done with it. I could really, really do without the rest of what we're anticipating to get. They're talking maybe up to 16 inches of snow, blizzard conditions, drifting snow up to 3 feet deep, yada, yada, yada. It's going to suck to drive to work tomorrow morning. That's all I got to say on that. But y'all stay safe, warm. One more time in English. Y'all stay safe, stay warm. Happy Valentine's Day. Love each other. We'll see ya.